Once upon a time, in a kingdom wrapped in silver mist and bordered by mountains that touched the sky, there lived a young princess named Elowen. Her palace stood at the heart of a city built from white marble and blue glass, and every morning the sunlight poured through its tall windows like liquid gold. To the people of the kingdom, Elowen was a symbol of hope and grace. She had eyes as gentle as spring rain and a smile that could calm even the most troubled heart. Yet despite the grandeur around her, Elowen often felt alone. Her father, King Aldrich, was wise but burdened with matters of state. Her mother had passed away when Elowen was very young, leaving behind only a faint memory of a lullaby and the scent of roses. Courtiers and servants filled the palace halls, but none were true companions to a princess whose every step was watched and measured. On her 10th birthday, when the kingdom celebrated with fireworks that painted the sky in colors of sapphire and crimson, an old woman arrived at the palace gates. She wore a simple gray cloak and carried a small wooden box bound with silver thread. The guards nearly turned her away, but she insisted that she had a gift meant only for the princess. Curiosity overcame caution, and the old woman was brought before Elowen. Her voice was soft but steady. "Your Highness," she said, bowing deeply, "inside this box is something that once belonged to your mother. It is not gold nor jewels, but it carries a magic far greater." Elowen's heart fluttered. She knelt and untied the silver thread herself. Inside lay a small teddy bear. It was unlike any toy she had ever seen. Its fur shimmered faintly, as though moonlight had been woven into each thread. Its eyes were made of deep violet glass that seemed almost alive. Around its neck was tied a ribbon embroidered with tiny stars. At first, Elowen felt a flicker of disappointment. She had expected perhaps a necklace or a crown. But as she lifted the teddy bear into her arms, a strange warmth spread through her fingers and into her chest. It felt as though she were being gently embraced. The old woman smiled knowingly. "His name is Orion," she said. "He listens to the wishes of a pure heart. But remember, child, every wish carries a consequence. Magic always asks for balance." Before Elowen could ask more, the old woman bowed once again and quietly left the palace. Some claimed she vanished at the gates, others said she simply walked into the crowd. No one could find her afterward. That night, as the palace fell silent and moonlight spilled across Elowen's chamber, she sat on her bed holding the teddy bear. She whispered softly, half in jest, "I wish I had a true friend. Someone who stays with me because they want to, not because they must." For a moment, nothing happened. Then Orion's violet eyes glowed faintly. A gentle breeze swirled through the room, though the windows were closed. The air shimmered, and from the shadows near the fireplace stepped a girl about Elowen's age. She had chestnut hair braided with wildflowers and wore a simple dress of forest green. She looked around in wonder, then smiled directly at Elowen. "Hello," the girl said. "My name is Mira. I think I'm here because you wished for me." Elowen's breath caught in her throat. Over the following days, Mira became her constant companion. They laughed together in the gardens, raced along the palace corridors, and whispered secrets beneath blankets by candlelight. Mira did not bow or treat Elowen differently. She teased her, challenged her, and spoke honestly. For the first time, Elowen felt truly happy. But soon, small changes began to ripple through the kingdom. The royal gardener complained that flowers were blooming out of season and then wilting overnight. The baker found that bread sometimes turned to ash when removed from the oven. The palace musicians discovered their instruments slipping out of tune without reason. It was subtle at first, easy to ignore. Until one evening, Mira sat unusually quiet beside Elowen in the tower room. "What is it?" Elowen asked. Mira's eyes looked distant. "Have you noticed how things feel, unbalanced? Like a scale tipping?" Elowen hesitated. "It's because of my wish, isn't it?" Mira did not answer, but her silence spoke clearly. That night, Elowen clutched Orion tightly. "I didn't mean for anything bad to happen," she whispered. "I just wanted a friend." The teddy bear's eyes glowed again, softer this time, almost sorrowful. In the days that followed, the disturbances grew stronger. Crops in nearby villages failed without explanation. A thick fog settled over the river, making boats lose their way. People began to murmur that something unnatural had entered the kingdom. King Aldrich convened his advisors, seeking answers. Meanwhile, Elowen watched as Mira's laughter grew less frequent. Sometimes, when sunlight streamed through her, her form seemed faint, almost transparent. "You're fading," Elowen said one afternoon, panic rising in her voice. Mira nodded gently. "I wasn't born in this world, Elowen. I was shaped from magic, from your longing. For me to stay, something else must give." Tears filled Elowen's eyes. "Take it back," she pleaded to Orion that night. "I wish for everything to return to how it was before." But nothing happened. A whisper, barely audible, brushed her mind: balance must be chosen, not demanded. Elowen realized then that magic would not simply undo her desire without cost. She had to give something of equal weight. The following morning, she made a decision that frightened her. She stood before Orion and said clearly, "I wish to give up my claim to the throne. Let another rule in my place, someone destined for it. In return, restore the kingdom's balance and let Mira live freely in this world." The room trembled. Orion's eyes shone brighter than ever before, filling the chamber with starlight. Wind roared through unseen cracks, lifting curtains and scattering papers. Elo felt a pull at her very core, as though invisible threads tying her to the future were being gently cut. Then silence fell. When the light faded, Mira stood before her, solid, warm, real. Far away in the royal council chamber, King Aldrich received unexpected news. A distant cousin, long thought lost, had arrived with documents proving a rightful claim to the throne. The advisors murmured that it seemed fate itself had intervened. Elowen felt no bitterness. For the first time, she understood the true nature of wishes. They were not shortcuts to happiness but bridges built from sacrifice. Days later, she told her father she wished to leave the palace to travel the kingdom, to learn from the people and serve in ways beyond a crown. Though saddened, King Aldrich saw wisdom in her eyes beyond her years and granted permission. Elowen and Mira set out together, carrying only simple belongings, and Orion. They journeyed through villages and forests, helping rebuild damaged farms, teaching children to read, listening to the worries of fishermen and merchants. Wherever imbalance lingered, Elowen chose not to wish it away but to work patiently to mend it. Yet Orion remained with her, a quiet reminder of magic's presence. One winter evening, as snow fell softly over a mountain pass, they encountered a boy shivering beside a broken cart. His family's supplies had been lost in the storm. Mira looked at Elowen knowingly. Elowen held Orion close and felt the familiar hum of power. She could wish for warmth, for food, for safety. The temptation was strong. Instead, she knelt and said to the boy, "We will fix the cart together. Then we'll gather wood and build a fire." It took hours. Her fingers grew numb and her muscles ached. But when the fire finally blazed and the boy's family smiled in relief, Elowen felt a deeper warmth than any magic could provide. That night, Orion's eyes glowed softly, not in warning, but in approval. Years passed. Stories spread across the kingdom of AW. Wandering young woman with kindness in her hands and wisdom in her voice. Few recognized her as the former princess. To most, she was simply Elowen the Lightbringer. Mira remained by her side, aging as any mortal would. Their friendship, born of magic, grew roots in reality. One spring morning, as they rested beside a field of wildflowers, Elowen noticed Orion's fur no longer shimmered as brightly. The violet eyes seemed dimmer. She understood. Magic given freely, without selfishness, slowly returns to the world from which it came. Elowen smiled and whispered one final wish, not for herself, but for all: may every heart learn that true miracles grow from courage and compassion. Orion's eyes flared with gentle starlight one last time, then faded into ordinary glass. The fur became simple cloth, the ribbon plain thread. The teddy bear was no longer magical. But Elowen did not feel loss. She had learned that the greatest magic had never been in Orion alone. It had been in choice. In sacrifice. In love freely given. And as she and Mira walked forward into the golden fields, hand in hand, the kingdom flourished, not because wishes shaped it, but because people did. Far beyond the mountains, in places untouched by maps, an old woman in a grey cloak smiled as she watched a star brighten in the sky. For balance had been restored. And the girl who once wished for a friend had become something far greater than a queen. She had become a legend woven not from magic, but from heart.